What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. I want to go over some of the data points, what's affecting it today, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid is down 1.86%, 1150 the low, 1192 the high, and very, very low volume. So 2.2 million shares being traded, 8.7 is the average. Surprisingly enough, we actually did have some good data that came out today that's really hyping up the broader market. With the exception of Lucid, of course, but ADP weekly did come in at 16.2 thousand. We had 2 rounds of non-farm payroll, one for October, one for November. November came in at 64,000, forecast was 25. So pretty good stuff for that. Retail sales came in at 0, slightly lower than the forecast, but then again, that's exactly what the market does want to justify a further rate cut. And that's actually what is causing things to go up a little bit. So right now there is a 24.4% likelihood of a 25 basis point cut. Aside from that, unemployment came in flat at 4.6. We also did have some flash data, so composite manufacturing and services, and that was somewhat mixed, all slightly lower than the forecast. Still though, above 50, which shows more of a expansion. Aside from that though, Lucid's actually put out 2 rounds of news. So I didn't do a Lucid video yesterday, but they did put this one out yesterday, and it just shows that introducing Lucid Recharged Lucid Motors Certified Pre-Owned Vehicle Program. In general, I don't really see this being that big of a deal in my opinion. It just makes it easier for kind of reselling, and hopefully will kind of add some extra value and have Lucid's vehicles hold more value. I know that's been more of a common issue way back in the day, is that Lucid, just for reselling purposes, their vehicles just nobody really wants to buy them. So I think in general that could be said for most EVs in general, but nonetheless, this is news that they did put out yesterday, so I don't really see this being a crazy catalyst. Yesterday, of course, the broader market wasn't that great on a side note, but we also did have news that came out first thing, and Lucid Gravity SUV and Lucid Air Sedan named to Car and Driver's prestigious 10 best for 2026. So I think in general now, this used to kind of do good things for the stock price, obviously move higher, but at this stage in the game, everyone knows that Lucid has probably a full shelf of many awards. So I don't really see this being a crazy catalyst as well that you need to stop what you're doing and buy. So the only thing right now, in my opinion, that matters is if Lucid is going to hit their 2025 targets. And again, I know I mentioned this last video, but Mark, by him saying that they're producing 1,000 plus every single week, it is fair to assume that they're going to hit their targets. But institutions, retail, Wall Street, everyone and their dog, they want to hear Lucid come out and see that Lucid comes out with them hitting the targets. Because we've seen CEOs in the past say one thing, and then of course magically supply chain issues or some other issues pop up and they're unable to hit their targets. So in general, it's good to see Lucid putting out more official news, but both of these, in my opinion, are kind of just fluff and not really a good reason to buy Lucid. When it comes down to the secondary market, we're seeing roughly around, this is not Lucid, so 2 transactions on the secondary market above $100,000. Both are buys, so that's definitely a good thing. On the dark pool, we are seeing not that much activity. A lot of this is linked to shorts. So at the time of doing this video, shorts are increasing 163,000 shares. So as crazy as it sounds, 33.47% of the free float is being shorted. And from what we can see, it looks like all-time high numbers were hit in December the 3rd, where it was at 33.68. So we are inches away from Lucid being at all-time high short interest numbers. So crazy stuff. So what's your general thoughts on that? So I think in general, for everyone's like sanity, Lucid really needs to hit their 2025 targets. And not only that though, like they can't just do that. They also have to give good 2026 guidance, because if they come out and say, hey, you know what, we anticipate 20,000 for 2026, market's just going to say, F you, what's the point in having 2 very state-of-the-art facilities if you're only going to do 20,000? Because again, I think right now AMP1, their max capacity currently is 90,000, and then through AMP AMP1 or AMP2, I think later this year is going to be 150. And so in general, they need to be kind of at least 40. So that's going to be something that Wall Street also does pay attention to. Looking at the options, 292,000 in calls, 355,000 in puts. So very low volume. It does kind of match with the overall common stock though. 63% of all the options being done are bearish in nature. And then aside from that though, from a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around 12 to 1250. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 11. So you kind of have that kind of back and forth. And so where we are now, there's a little bit more upside than down. One thing I do want to bring up though is what analysts have been doing. Even though we haven't really had that much in analyst ratings, so we only had one 8 days ago. It was a sell by Morgan Stanley, $10 price target. But as I've explained in the past, analysts can change their estimates without officially changing their rating. And it looks like analysts have become a little bit more bearish on some aspects of Lucid. So earnings per share current estimates are a loss of $2.36. Previously it was $2.57. So analysts are assuming that Lucid's going to actually improve across the board. So maybe they're going to be having a little bit of a better balance sheet, stronger balance sheet. Revenue though, you can kind of see it went from 456 to 508, now to 511. So that's kind of a good thing. But if we do look at some of the other metrics, you see some analysts are assuming that it's going to be better in the short term, but more pain kind of longer term, or at least over the next following quarters. But I think maybe they're assuming more of a costlier ramp up for mid-size. But I'll kind of look at this. Obviously, it's a little bit premature to start talking about Q4 earnings right now, but still, just wanted to kind of bring this up. And so moving on from here, though, with it right now at 1163, it is trading between this S2 and this S3. So 1195 is going to be the next strong target / resistance. And then 1149 is going to be that next strong support. And conveniently, that's actually the pretty much where it's trading. So the high for right now is 1194, so bounced off of this S2, and then 1150 is that low, and it's bouncing off of this S3. In comparison to a lot of other growth stocks, Lucid definitely is lagging, but I don't think I need to tell you that. You guys can kind of see that for yourself. Aside from all that though, on the actual chart, things aren't looking too great. Again, you have a lot of kind of pumpers on social media saying that it's just a matter of time before Lucid goes higher. I heard that pre-split when it was at 20, when it was at 30. I heard that all the time. So I think in general, from the current outlook, how this looks and how it is, it does signal that Lucid is going to consolidate a little bit more. So, which is rather unfortunate how things are. But looks like the all-time low is 1146. So if things don't come according to plan over the next couple of trading days for macro data, then we could be seeing a new all-time low being hit. So it's kind of crazy. We're actually seeing almost a all-time low and also an all-time high short interest at the same time. So I don't think there's any coincidence for that. But let me know your general thoughts on Lucid. Are you buying? Are you selling? Where do you see things going? And what do you think the next big catalyst is? Yeah, I do gotta give them a round of applause for putting out news, because normally they just put out only dilution news for the most part. But yeah, I feel like it needs to be more operational, if that kind of makes sense. So yeah, let me know your general thoughts on Lucid. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.